Buenos dias from Las Point. This is the Rorschach Spain update from the 30th of July 2026. Quick summary of what's going down in Spain. Spain remains at the center of Europe's escalating wildfire crisis this week, with fresh blazes and extreme heat continuing to threaten communities around Madrid, Valencia, and central part of the country. Since the start of July's fires have burned over 1,500 square kilometers, including a single blaze covering more than 660 square kilometers, an area comparable to the Madrid metropolitan area. Authorities have described the fires as the worst in Spanish history by far, with around 90,000 people evacuated at the height of the emergency, although many have now been allowed to return. Officials remain on high alert as temperatures continue to exceed 40 degrees centigrade, which is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Elsewhere, firefighters in France continue to battle major fires in the Gironde region near Bordeaux, where more than 200,000 people were evacuated. Across southern Europe, prolonged heat waves and dry conditions have intensified the fires, with leaders warning that fossil fuel-induced climate change is making wildfire sessions longer, more destructive, and increasingly difficult to contain despite large-scale firefighting efforts. As Spain continues to battle its worst wildfire season on record, the financial cost is mounting rapidly. Government estimates suggest that firefighting operations alone could total between 1.7 billion and 3.3 billion euros this year. Final bill is expected to be significantly higher once landscape restoration, infrastructure repairs, and environmental recovery are included. Experts argue that investing more in wildlife prevention, including forest management, would be far more cost-effective, estimating that every euro spent on prevention could save around 100 euros in firefighting costs. Beyond emergency response, the fires are also hitting Spain's wider economy. Tourism, agricultural, and rural businesses have been severely affected. Now, some better news. On Monday the 27th, the government announced that the Spanish labor market has reached a major milestone, with unemployment falling below 10% for the first time since 2008. Official figures show the unemployment rate dropped to 9.87% in the second quarter of 2026, as nearly 500,000 new jobs were created, taking total employment to a record 22.8 million people. The improvement was driven largely by seasonal hiring in the tourism and services sector ahead of the summer, while construction and industry also added jobs. The latest figures, however, do leave Spain just 221,000 jobs short of the government's target of reaching 23 million people in work by the end of 2026. Speaking of targets, the country is on course for another record-breaking summer tourism season, with 43 million international visitors expected between June and September, and tourist spending forecast to reach 64 billion euros. However, boom masks growing financial pressure for many households nationally. Official figures show that over 30% of Spaniards cannot afford a one-week vacation. Consumer groups OCU says rising housing, food, and energy costs are forcing families to cut back on travel, with more than half reporting difficulty paying for vacations. Many are opting for shorter breaks, cheaper destinations, or even canceling trips altogether. Average family beach holiday consisting of a couple and two kids now costs an estimated 1,500 euros nationally, while an overseas trip is 2,300. Although Spain's economy and tourism sector continue to grow, campaigners warn that many households are yet to feel its benefits. Onto a high-profile celebrity lawsuit. On Tuesday the 28th, International Press Freedom Group backed Spanish news website El Diario after famous Spanish singer Julio Iglesias filed a criminal defamation lawsuit against the outlet, its editor, and 4 journalists. The case relates to reports published in January following a 3-year investigation into allegations of sexual assault and human trafficking made by 2 former employees. Spanish prosecutors later dropped the sexual assault case, saying the alleged offenses took place outside Spain and were therefore beyond the jurisdiction of Spanish courts. However, Iglesias is now seeking criminal action against the journalists after they refused to remove the articles. The International Federation of Journalists and European Federation of Journalists say using criminal lawsuits against journalists can intimidate the media and discourage reporting on issues of public interest. The International Press Group has publicly supported El Diario, arguing that responsible investigative journalism should not be treated as a criminal offense. Next up, country's traditional olive growers are coming under increased financial pressure as production costs continue to rise. New industry report released on Tuesday the 28th found that the average cost of producing olive oil has increased by almost 57% since 2020, leaving many traditional farms with losses. The hardest hit are small hillside groves that cannot be easily mechanized, where production costs have reached over 5 euros per kilo, well above the average market price of 3.2 euros for the same yield. More modern, intensive farms that use machinery and irrigation at much lower costs are generally more competitive. Farming groups warn that many traditional olive groves, which make up a significant share of Spain's olive growing landscape, are becoming economically difficult to maintain. They're calling on the government to reform tax rules and provide greater support, warning that without action, many long-established olive farms could struggle to survive. Over to Euskadi next. On Tuesday, the 28th, the regional government announced that it would introduce proton therapy for cancer patients in the Basque Country in early 2028 when a new treatment unit at Oskidetza's Donostia Hospital becomes operational. The advanced radiotherapy technology is funded in part by a €28 million donation from Amancio Ortega Foundation and is designed to treat difficult cancers more precisely while reducing damage to healthy tissue. It's expected to treat around 230 patients a year from the Basque Country, La Rioja, Burgos, and Soria. Proton therapy is particularly beneficial for children with cancer and for tumors located close to sensitive organs where conventional radiotherapy can cause greater side effects. The new 4-story facility will also include imaging, diagnostic, and treatment planning areas with space reserved for a second proton therapy unit in the future as demand for the technology grows. In music news, the Sinsal Festival returned to the island of San Simeon Island last weekend, with its second weekend planned in Vigo, both in Galicia and northwestern Spain. The festival combines live music with the preservation of Spain's democratic memory. Over 3 days, it attracts 800 people who can reach the island only by boat and keeps its lineup secret until visitors arrive. Alongside performances by artists from across Europe, Africa, and Latin America, the festival offers guided walks that explore the island's history. San Simeon was once a quarantine station before becoming a Franco-era prison when more than 5,600 Republican prisoners were held between 1936 and 1943, with hundreds dying in captivity. The island was officially recognized as a place of democratic memory in 2025. While some groups have questioned holding a music festival at the site, organizers argue that culture helps preserve Spain's history rather than erasing it. Now for the history buffs, on Monday the 27th, archaeologists identified a Roman military camp in Catalonia that has shed new light on a little-known ancient conflict from 39 BC. Researchers from the Autonomous University of Barcelona linked the site to the Serentani revolt using the distribution of artifacts including bullets, coins, Roman sandal studs, and brooches. 2 sling bullets bearing the name of a Roman governor allowed the battle to be dated precisely and confirmed it took place in the area of the camp in the Eastern Pyrenees. Researchers say the find significantly improves understanding of Rome's conquest of northeastern Spain. Finally, we mentioned democratic memory earlier. By coincidence, Liam Aldous published a fascinating piece in the news outlet Monocle, exploring how Spain continues to grapple with Franco's legacy and reconcile it with the country's modern identity. The article explores how Spain is reassessing the legacy of dictator Francisco Franco, focusing on efforts to transform the Valley of the Fallen, Franco's burial site, from a symbol of dictatorship to a place of remembrance. It examines debates over exhuming Franco's remains, identifying victims of the Civil War, removing Franco-era symbols, and educating younger generations about the country's past. Through interviews with historians, officials, and campaigners, Siriaku highlights the tension between remembering and forgetting. Learn more, check out the full article in the show notes. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Anything to ask or tell us, email us at info@rorschach.com. Hasta la próxima.